It is a case that captured the attention of America, and now, a year later, the jury is seated for the man accused in the death of 19-year-old Sade Robinson. Tonight, we are joined by legal expert and criminal defense attorney Julius Kim from the law firm of Kim and Lavoie to help make sense of the trial that is now underway. Ted?
So let's get right to it. The jury is set. 12 women, 3 men, all of whom filled out that questionnaire. Does that questionnaire, it's fairly standard, but does it change with each case, including what remarkable evidence there seems to be in this, some very disturbing evidence?
Absolutely. This questionnaire was filled out months in advance because of the complex nature of this particular case and because of the sensitive nature of this case. Obviously, there's some gruesome details that are part of this, and so both sides wanted to make sure that they submitted questions to the court, which Judge Crivello ultimately approved of, to try and expedite the process.
Which side is more pleased with how this jury is looking demographically right now?
It's hard to say. Presumably, both sides are pleased because they were able to exercise their peremptory strikes, and they both had to ultimately decide on this particular jury. So I think that both sides are probably satisfied.
Both sides going over their opening statements, maybe not revising them, maybe they've had it in mind for a while. How important are these opening statements, these opening salvos to the jury? Do you say, I got a lot of evidence, or do you just leave breadcrumbs along the way and you ask them to follow you?
I think it depends on which side you're on. If you're the state, I think that it's important, especially in a circumstantial case, that you present as much evidence as you can, as many facts as you can in this particular case, and lay out that groundwork as to what the jury is going to be seeing. If you're the defense, you may take a little bit more pulled back approach to see what it is that the state has to offer before you decide that you're going to put your case on.
Maxwell Anderson looked more clean-cut than at the time of his arrest and his initial court appearance, but he wasn't in a suit. Is that a conscious decision on the defense part? What would you have done if you were sitting next to him and you were his defense attorney?
Yeah, I noticed that, and clearly there were some attempts that were made to try and clean him up a little bit before today's proceedings. I personally would have liked to have seen him in a suit, but that's a decision that's made between him and his attorneys. There are lots of different factors that could play into that. There could be financial factors or strategy factors involved.
There's going to be a lot of evidence, much of it graphic. That has to be presented with tact on the prosecutor's part. Talk about that and talk about how, as a defense attorney, you say, ho, 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 that may be graphic, but it's not proof.
Yeah, I mean, the very nature of this particular case is such where there's going to be gruesome testimony that's presented. And I think a lot of those issues have already been resolved through the pretrial motion process, because there have been questions that were presumably raised by the defense in terms of what can be actually presented while the case is going on. And hopefully there aren't going to be that many objections while the case is pending, so that because they've already worked these things out.
30 seconds. This is a big, big challenge for Judge Laura Crivello. This is her most high-profile case, but she's not a rookie judge. She has been around. What's her biggest challenge? I
think her biggest challenge is just to protect the record. In this particular case, a lot of times people don't realize that judges aren't just sitting there watching what's going on. They have to be active participants. And if there's a conviction here, part of her job is not only to give both sides a fair trial, but to make sure that this record is protected for appeal purposes.
You've been watching this trial. You're going to continue to watch it while you're also doing work for your clients. You're really doing all the double duty, and we appreciate it. Julius Kim, thank you very much, of Kim and Lavoie. Tomorrow, we will stream the Anderson trial gavel to gavel on Fox Local, the Fox Local mobile app, and the Fox News Milwaukee YouTube channel. Also on Fox Local, we have in-depth coverage of the murder of Sade Robinson from our team of reporters. This is your opportunity to get up to speed on the case before the first testimony takes place.